Joining us for segment number, whatever we're 16. On today, 16, is our friend Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. Good morning, evening, afternoon, Keith.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We missed you last week. Of course, 4th of July, everybody had things going on, and we thought we'd give everybody a much-needed break from our jibber-jabbering.
Well, you know, the big controversy now over 4th of July, the big controversy is fireworks versus drones.
Yeah, it's crazy. And of course, the argument is that people that have pets apparently hate fireworks because they make their pets go crazy. And we never knew about that growing up as kids. I don't know if our dogs were just tougher or if it's a different world or what it is, but apparently these drones don't make quite the noise that the traditional fireworks do.
Right. Right. Well, also, there's always a few people that blow themselves up every year.
Right. There's a new thing there where they get a canister of gasoline, apparently, and then make a fireball, and that's, ooh, you know, it's the oohs and the ahs, right? So once a week, or every week, we bring to life Keith's blog that he writes for Sports Car Market Magazine, the greatest magazine on the planet. And you're welcome. And this week's title to the blog is Enter the Longroof Wagon. So I'm kind of assume that there's a Volvo wagon that's come into play into your life somehow, some way.
Well, I had one comment on the blog from a man who said, is Longroof Swedish for station wagon?
I think that's correct, yes. But it's spelled different. It's Lungruf.
Right. The point of my blog was that my son's he's 18, this is his third car.
Right.
But the first two cars, it was C3 Corvette and a Land Rover Disco, were really my fantasies for what he should be driving.
I know that feeling.
And he really finally said to me, Dad, I don't really like these cars very much. And he said, I really like Volvo wagons. And so it turned out that my editor-in-chief, Jeff Sabatini, had a 98 V70 T5. I'm still learning all
the nomenclature.
but he had one for sale that was nice and was reasonably priced. And for my son, who's Gen Z, that is like the car to have.
Isn't that crazy? I love that, but it's crazy.
It's crazy, but he said, I feel good when I get behind the wheel. My friends all love it. It's safe enough. And with all the crazy cars I bought in my life, who am I to do anything but support somebody when they've got a passion for something?
Absolutely. My dad did the same thing. He bought an Audi 100 LS for me when I was 16, my first car, because he thought it looked like a Mercedes and he thought it was cool. And he didn't think about what I thought, which was like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah. No, I understand.
So the Volvo wagon is, it's practical. It's interesting. It's cool looking for those of us who know a little bit about them. What do you think the Gen Z's attraction to them? All of those things, or is there something we're missing?
I don't know. And I was talking to Jeff Sabatini yesterday about the Volvo itself. Until very recently, it really had a standalone look and feel to it.
Right.
Volvo maintained its characteristics. Well, Saabs and other cars kind of all lost them all.
Sure. Because the Saab was the most unique-looking car growing up when I was a kid. At least that was around where we lived. That would be you knew one immediately when you saw it. There was no mistaking a Saab or a Volvo at the time. And of course, as things change, they get not always better.
No, that's correct. And we're we're in an era now where cars they become so complicated, Stewart. I mean, it's. My problem with this Volvo is that it was cheap to buy, but will it be cheap to keep?
Yeah, is it Mercedes, Jaguar, Land Rover, Range Rover, Aston Martin expensive to maintain, or is it more along the lines of a Fiat or something where you might be able to find some parts and it won't be too crazy? I have a feeling, though, it's not going to be the case and it's going to be expensive.
We are lucky here in Portland. We have a place called IPD, which is a Volvo parts center and service specialist. So They have remanufactured a lot. I was just watching a YouTube video last night, the 10 things most likely to fail on your Volvo wagon.
Your favorite new video, right?
Right. And they have each part, they say, this fails and this is what we built to replace it with.
And a lot of times on these remanufactured parts is that they're better than the original. They've learned where the failure points were, and therefore they can build a better mousetrap.
Well, what I always think about, like if you went to the Volvo factory in 1998 and you said, okay, 50 years from now, what do you think is going to be most likely to fail on this car? And they'd look at you and they would just laugh.
Yeah, they'd say the whole thing's going to be gone. It's going to be in a trash can or a dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, because they don't think 50 years.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think the success of a lot of the German cars was that they may not have thought 50 years ahead, but they were thinking further ahead than General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler were back in the day. I agree. And without question.
So the question I have in that case, then, why with Alfa Romeo does every single Alfa Romeo convertible dash split within 6 months?
Well,
how can a Mercedes have a dash with no cracks in it, and an Alfa, you turn your back on the car and the dash cracks?
Yeah, it's like it's supposed to do it. It's as if they put a wedge in there and just got it just enough in there so it was just slowly over time coming apart. And
maybe what Alfa was doing was reflecting the tectonic shift on the Earth, where all the continents are moving apart. And the Alfa wanted to be like right there with the planet.
Yeah, because maybe they thought you could make two cars out of one. Just split it right down the middle, and there you have it. So I think that you never know what the Italians are thinking. That's always the yin and the yang of the Italian car, is that some things defy logic, and it's like, when the Corvettes, like the C3, I think it was the C3 or something. Yeah, C3 that he had. Where's the battery? In the most inopportune place. It's behind the driver's seat, and you can't hardly get to it, and you can't get jumper cables to it. Right. Dodge Viper, the battery, you practically have to take the fender off to get to it. I mean, people just don't think these things through.
Well, it makes you want to send designers to engineer school. And so they say, okay, how do we design this to make it easy to service?
Right. I think that was part of the problem, though, is that the designers would come up with, and the engineers would say, no, we can't afford to do that. We can do it this way, and that's a compromise, and we'll just take the compromise and move on, and not really thinking it through. I mean, there's so many designs. We just got a new pickup truck, and every car nowadays, or every car that you're in, there's a air vent where you put your magnetic phone holder, and it clips into the vent. And Kathy, my wife, very first day we bought the truck, she puts this thing in, and the vent thing breaks, the little slat in the vent, and it's like, God, how do you explain that one to the dealership when you take it back and act like you're not just a complete loser when you broke the vent on the air conditioning?
Yeah, I bet it's not the first one.
And then the other thing you got to argue is that why wouldn't they have thought that through? That people are going to put one of those things on the vent, make it work, make it so it's sturdy enough that it'll handle that. And they don't think things through. Hopefully they will. And they put these chargers in these cars now in the center console, where you lay your phone in there and it just magically charges, and that never works, and it's in a very inopportune place. So
it's in the place where your coffee spills.
Right? Yeah, exactly. A perfect spot to. Well, it's just like everything. Every 2 years when the new iPhone comes out, mine starts acting wonky for some particular reason. Right at the moment they announce the new iPhone 29 or whatever they're at.
Well, and I never really understand the iPhone. When you go to the AT&T store, it's one price, and when you go to the other store, it's and we'll add this to your bill, and we'll subtract this from your mortgage, and it all. I know I'm getting screwed, but I can't quite figure out how.
I can't put my finger on it. I'll never forget the first cell phone I got. It was installed in my Honda CRX, and the first bill that came in was $790. And there was no important phone calls that were made on it. It was all calling my buddies, telling them where I was calling them from. By the way, guess where I am? Or you remember the old days? They even had fake cell phone handsets where you could pretend like you had a phone in your car.
You know what that's like? That's like when you get blow up people so you can drive in the carpool lane.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. It's amazing what status symbols. Where we were talking earlier about, when you always figured when you made it, you'd buy your wife a 450 SL Mercedes. That would show everybody in the neighborhood that you made it, right? Yeah. That was the status symbol of all status symbols.
I find I think those are wonderful cars, but they're unbelievably boring.
Yeah, I get it. They don't. There's not a lot of excitement to them. They're not slow, but they're not fast. They don't.
No, and they've been around long enough now. They look dated. They look
Right.
like you gave it to your secretary as a retirement present.
Yeah, instead of a gold watch, right, or whatever else. I don't know what they give anymore, right? So, well, it was as always, wonderful to talk to you. I hope that you have a great week. We'll try not to miss another show like we did. No more holidays for a while. And actually, I'm going to be in Monterey. We may have to miss that one. So, unless I'm going to get bold and try to do one remotely, which I don't know. I'm not that good at this.
I'm going to go out and drive my son's wagon.
Yeah, enjoy that, and for those of you watching and listening, check out this segment or this commercial about a special offer from Keith Martin in Sports Car Market Magazine. We'll catch you next week on the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
We've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden. Available on classicautomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.